Hey everybody, this is Ken Meeks from the Ken Meeks Show. Today we have an awesome guest. We have Javon Johnson, actor, producer. Seen him on Tyler Perry. I bet you didn't know he was a playwright. Hey, what's going on, man? What's going on, Javon, man? From South Carolina.
Yeah. I'm from South Carolina, man. A lot of people know now a little bit about my hometown, Anderson, right, because of the late great Chadwick Boseman, who was on Black Panther and Jackie Robinson. We were close friends, but he's also from Anderson, South Carolina.
Okay. So how was it, man? I know you get this all the time. How was it growing up in Carolina? Because I'm from Mississippi, so it's kind of similar.
I won't say that. I don't know, because I told you I've been to Mississippi once and I couldn't wait to get up out of there. And I'm from South Carolina. It felt different, but I mean, it's southern, it's country. The community is mostly a textile and automotive industry, nursing, things like those. Those are kind of careers that most people going in, education, So to come out as an artist was not
amazing.
That was not what the fabric of the community was. Particularly for young black boys, we didn't talk about being poets and writers and actors. We talked about the usual, mostly sports. Going to college, maybe think about going to pros, maybe. Outside of that, you on the block, or you in the studio.
Hey man, I can totally
Are you in one of those jobs your parents been working for the last 20, 30 years because that was the culture, the job at BMW or something. It was a good job, good life. So to come out as an artist was something that, wasn't like the community wasn't setting me up for that.
So they treat you like the man now when you come home?
I'm an alien, man. But it's good though. It's good because at one point I used to get insulted because I would come home and, I remember being in Walmart checkout line one time and the cashier, she was like, I know you from somewhere. And then I let it, let them figure it out. And then finally said, you was on my TV last night.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah. And they said, what are you doing here? And I used to get offended because I'm like, I was born and raised here, man. I'm like, I was here before, watching this Walmart get built and stuff like that. I'm like, I don't know the community.
Hey man, I totally relate. Yeah. I'm from a small town as well. We didn't even have JROTC. I agree with you.
Wow, yeah.
All we had was basketball and football.
Right.
Now I see schools that have volleyball and tennis and all this stuff. So how did you get started, man, into the film industry? What made you want to say, okay, this is for me. This is what I want to try out?
That was a long journey to get to that point. I always say that me being here was not by my doing.
God.
I was being led, and the best thing I did was not get in the way of it. Because I was being led and didn't know where I was being led to, but I also didn't step and say I wanted something else. It was like I just believed that this was going somewhere.
So what do you have to say to other people who start out on the journey, right? And they're not getting there as fast as they want to get there, right? And they tell them, they may talk to themselves and say, you know what, this ain't for me. I'm gonna pull out.
Yeah. Well, the first thing is this, man. It's kind of like when you fall in love.
Right.
You don't really have no control at the end because the power of that, right? So when something hits you and it becomes your purpose, you really don't have no power over that. Because if you try to go against the purpose, now you have chaos and stress, and you create this tension, this conflict in yourself, right? Because your spirit is saying, this is where you should be.
Right.
And then your conscience is saying, well, I don't want to go that stroke. I don't want to go through all that work. I don't want to take all that time, put in all that. I don't want to train for all this. I'd rather go over here and get this Porsche and have a good life and impress people and live the easier route, right? But your happiness on the inside, you're never settled, right? You're never fulfilled, right? So the first thing I say is, whatever it is you're going after, make sure it's in your spirit that that's a part of who you are. Because sometimes you can want things and see things for yourself that's not meant for you.
Right, there you go.
And it's easy to say, I'm gonna stop. If it's easy to quit, it's probably not what you meant to do in the first place.
Got it.
If you quit it and can't sleep at night, you probably gotta say, you know what, this is what I'm meant to be doing. This is what I'm supposed to be doing because I can't get it off of me. You know what I mean? And that means at some point you gotta decide.
Gotta do something.
You gotta decide, hey, I'm gonna fully commit to this because I'm being called to this, which is, for me, I feel like I'm here because I was called to be here, to be doing what I'm doing, and this has become my identity now as an adult. But as a kid, I didn't know, when I started writing, Dude, that's the last thing I thought I would ever be doing. I didn't think I had the mental capacity to write. I didn't think I had anything to say to anybody. I think to put down a bunch of words on paper after page after page and think that it's gonna mean something. I was nowhere in my mind that I made the decision to write. That was given to me. It came to me and I couldn't get it off of me. And I was writing on autopilot.
So what was the first thing that you wrote? Was it a poem to a girl in school? Or was it, and you said, you know, I'm pretty good at this?
I'm going to tell you about my first experience. I don't know if a lot of people know, who the great August Wilson was. You know, Denzel is doing a lot of his movies now. Okay. Just did a piano lesson and Fences and all these other movies. Right. So he was a huge influence on my work. And my first experience writing came to me, and I didn't realize it came to him the same way until we talked about it. He said, this is how it evolved for me too. I took an acting job. I was at South Carolina State University, and I took an acting job in Louisville, Kentucky. First time I've been out of South Carolina. I hadn't been anywhere. First time I've been isolated from people. I didn't have no family. I didn't know the community. Right. So I'm in isolation, right? So we do this show during the day. Right. And then I have my evenings free. I was in this little apartment, didn't have no furniture, dull beige walls. And in that isolation, I started to hear these voices. Never in my life.
Talking to you?
They weren't talking to me. It was just a story playing out in my mind.
Oh, got it.
These characters, the story, it was one story, same characters over and over, and it was playing out in my mind. I'm like, I ain't never experienced something like that, and I'm certainly not gonna tell anybody. Right. Because all people.
Yeah. They'll steal it.
Yeah, no, not even that. They like, you crazy.
Oh, you crazy.
You know what I mean? I'm like, I can't, mama, I'm hearing, nah. So I'm just sat with it, right?
Same thing when I wrote my first book, so I get it.
Yeah, I sat with it, man. I resisted it. I resisted it, and it finally played itself out, and I thought it was over because it got to the end. Wow. And I thought it was over. And man, that thing just stayed with me, and I ended up writing it by hand and pencil, rewriting it in ink. Then I got a word processor at the time. It was like $400, which felt like $10,000 at that time. And I remember being in the Target checkout line, having an out-of-body experience, looking at myself about to buy this word processor, saying, what are you doing? Like, I had not even committed to writing, but this thing was happening. And so
pushing you.
So that was the beginning of it all for me. And then it took a number of, at this time I was just a playwright, not a screenwriter. Okay. So I was in the theater world. And it took several plays, several awards, national awards. It took a while for me to say, I'm a writer.
So at what point did you sit back and say, you know what? I did this. I'm here. I am a writer. I am in production.
Yeah, I remember one of the most impactful moments for me was at Studio Theater in Washington, D.C. Okay. I did a play of mine called Hambone. At the end of the show, elderly white couple came up to me. Okay. And at this time, I was probably in my 20s, some young black guy, right, out of South Carolina, right, in D.C. And this elderly white couple came up to me, and the husband was so emotional he couldn't talk. And the wife had to tell me, speak on behalf of the husband and say, your play and what kind of impact it had on him. And when I looked at that, I said, wait a minute. I'm an insignificant little country boy, black boy from South Carolina. I said,
white guy telling me.
Where in life do I get the opportunity to impact an elderly white couple as a young black man?
Change your whole perspective. I
said, man, I have arrived. Yeah. And then I saw the power in it. I saw the responsibility in it. And I said, okay, I have a responsibility here, and I have a gift. And now I see the power in it. And I say, okay, this is what I got to really honor this thing now.
Yeah. So, did you have a agent beside you? Because I'm asking this question for that young person that wants to do the same thing that you have done, and you pretty much know how the industry is, right? So, did you have an agent beside you, or once you felt like you made it, that's when your manager started coming?
Right. At some point, you ask yourself, when are you ready for that type of representation? Right?
And did you make the right decision on your first manager?
All my at this point.
Because a lot of people got crazy stories.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna be in this industry, you're gonna have a crazy story at some point about something.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's gonna happen. But I've had agencies representation that have changed over the years.
Right.
Some of them you just you outgrow the situation. You know what I mean? They got you as far as they can get you, and then you say, okay, well, I'm trying to get to this level, so we got to make an adjustment. Some of them, business might not have been great.
Right.
Some of them couldn't do what they say they're going to do. Like, there's a lot of reasons why you shift, representation. But the thing I would say for young people is the focus is not the opportunity, because right now, a lot of times we're opportunistically driven. Right. So we put the goal as a priority, right? The goal is a result of your commitment and development and belief in yourself. The opportunities are waiting for you to honor that first.
Got to polish you first. Brand new.
Focus is,
there you go.
If I want to be a writer, how do I get myself to be the best writer I can be right now? How do I develop that, right? Then if you get meaning, you have to educate yourself about what writing is.
Yes.
And what form and style you're writing in, what else is out there. You got to study that, and then you got to study and harness your talent and your skills, because there's a lot of people that are out there operating off of impulse and aspiration, but not preparation. And they just out there wilding out, might be super talented, but wasting a lot of time and a lot of money, because you don't know the industry itself and how to maneuver it. So the first thing is this: focus on yourself. Focus on your what your gifts are. Get training wherever it's needed.
Right.
Right. And humble yourself. Don't think that you're so great that you can't learn.
There you go.
Right. Because that's sometimes you run against egos.
There you go.
You can't tell them nothing.
Can't tell them nothing.
They figure it out on the
Right.
way. You gotta let the world teach them. You know what I mean?
Right. So it's kind of hard to juggle professional and personal.
Right.
Right. So when you made it, quote, right, how was it dealing with your friends and your family, trying to get them on board with this new Javon?
Well, it
and
depends.
also, did you have to let some people go?
Well,
because everybody can't go with you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's part of it, man. There's a lot to say about that.
Yeah,
so I don't know if we're
they
gonna
wanna
cover.
hear it.
I don't know if we're gonna cover everything on
They
that,
wanna
because
hear
it's a
it,
lot
man.
to dive into.
Yeah.
I'll say a few things about this, right? You have to understand that you have to avoid investing expectation in people who can't fulfill those expectations.
Okay.
Meaning, mom and dad might not be the people that you rely on or lean on, and they have to believe in you. Because mom and dad might come from a culture and have experiences that don't align with what your dream and passion is, because they don't know what that is.
They don't know what that
so
is.
they might say, you're a nurse. And you might say, nah, I'm a host.
Right.
No, because they don't know nothing about that.
They don't know
what
about
that
that.
journey is like. They don't know that passion for that. They only know medical field because she's the mom's a doctor, dad was a doctor, and they came to.
And they want you to.
They want you to do that, right? And so they're not in position to feed your spirit and your passion.
Wow.
And if you force that on them, you're going to set yourself up for disappointment. At some point, you're going to be caught up between honoring mom and dad wishes versus honoring your life wishes. And that's where you don't want to tie yourself to people. Sometimes when you get into this other side of things, your support is not necessarily.
But it's hard to say no to mom and dad.
No, it's not even about that, because here's the bottom line. You only have your life.
True.
Mom and dad has theirs.
There you go.
At the end of the day, when you grade up and you sitting there looking back at your life, you either gonna say, I lived it for my mom and dad, or I fulfilled myself in my life, right? It's not a disrespect to anybody. It's just that this is the life I was given.
Right.
This is the seed that was planted in me. This is the vision I was given. And it might not line up with your 60 years of life, mom and dad.
Right.
I gotta go off and do something else. But guess what? You prepared me to be able to take this walk and go this direction. And you have to be okay with doing that. I've had because I teach, right? I've had students who can't let go of their churches. They're so bound by their churches that their dream is held hostage, because they will, I gotta be in church every Sunday. I gotta go be in Bible study, and I gotta physically be there. Well, guess what? You live in Timbuktu, South Carolina. So if you're gonna be there every week, and the industry is over here, because you want to stay in the church, because that keeps the pastor happy, and that's the family church.
And God is inside anyway.
But you can't let go of the church. The church has a hold on you, the building.
There's a lot of people like that.
It's a lot of them, but who suffers though? Because at the end of the day, while you being held by the culture, because I teach a lot about not being not trapped by your culture, the culture that you come from, because that can hold you back.
Yeah, that was my next question. My next question was, dealing with your friends, has it been some incidents where you told them, hey, I got to go here, I got to do this, and they said, man, you changing. You ain't the same no more. Why you can't come hang out with me?
That's us.
So you okay with all that?
Yeah, you have to be, because again, it goes back to this is your life. The same people who say, man, you changed, they're living their life the way they want to live it in whatever situation they're in.
Got it.
They're good, right? If they got an industrial job that's paying them good and they got benefits and they got the family and the dog, 2 cars, in the meantime they telling you changed, but they okay.
They're okay.
That means you got to be okay too.
It's okay to change.
It's okay, because growth is everything. Growth is change.
There you go.
Right? You have to grow. Right?
There you
and
go.
people,
That's what I wanted to pull out.
Evolution, evolving. And every time you evolve, it doesn't mean that the people you grew up with are evolving with you. That means that sometimes you got to evolve beyond some old relationships. Even best friends sometimes can't elevate with you.
Right.
Doesn't mean that you don't still love them. It just means that where I'm going, this world is not the world that you can coexist with me in. Right. And some people can bring you down involuntarily because they don't fit.
They don't fit.
Right? So if you
can't bring them
if you
to
go to
a
the
gay
White
club.
House, if they say, hey man, Ken, man, we love the show, we want to invite you to the White House, and you bring Tyrone, because y'all best friends from back in the day, and Tyrone over there trying to sell some weed on the side to the politicians. Hey man, I know y'all want this stuff I got in the car. You up there, now you all messed up, because you done brought Tyrone to the wrong place.
Tyrone gonna stay at home.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man.
So we're here. So everybody know you from the Oval, Tyler Perry production, right? Played an amazing part, by the way.
Thank you.
So I want to give you your flowers while you're sitting here with me. If you could, and somebody told me to ask you this, right?
Okay.
I usually don't take other questions.
You gonna tell me who asked you
No,
that?
I can't tell you.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
But if you could play any role besides yourself on the Oval,
any
who
other role
would it
on
be?
the Oval?
Yeah, any other role besides the butler, besides you.
I'll tell you. I'll let y'all in on a little something.
Okay. Here you go.
I'll let you in on something. In the beginning, when I was auditioning for the show.
Exclusive.
Yeah, this is exclusive. I had a conversation when I got the breakdown of the characters and everything. Right, it wasn't Richard Halson I was looking at. It was Donald, the head of security I was looking at. Yeah. And I was reading the scripts. I was like, oh, I got to have this Donald. Right. I got to, that's what I want, right? Because Richard was a butler. I was like, who wants to play a butler? Because my mind was like,
Donald's role is wild.
I was like a butler, right? But at the time, I didn't know, right? The trajectory of Donald.
Yeah, got it.
Right, so I'm locking in on Donald, right? I'm like, I'm about to kill this Donald thing, right? And then go through the whole audition process, and I had a conversation with Tyler. He had called.
Right.
And he was talking to me about Richard Halson, right? The butler.
Yeah.
The whole conversation, tell me everything about Richard and everything. I was like, oh, okay. And I realized, oh man, Richard is really a little more than what I thought he was based on, just being a butler. He's way more than that, right? So we had this whole conversation about the butler, and then at the end, conclusion of that conversation, I said, Tyler, what about this other role, Donald? Because in the back of my mind, I'm still thinking, tough security guy, right. I said, what about this Donald role? He's like, no, you don't want that. Donald's got a lot going on.
Donald got a lot going on.
Donald got a lot going on. So
if y'all don't know, go watch the Oval, and you understand what he's saying. I mean, either way is good. If you want to play Donald, you play Donald. But I totally understand.
So if I look at it now, probably maybe if I had, Sam maybe. Because I like what Sam is, and plus Richard and Sam are best buddies anyway on the show.
But you probably could play any role.
I mean, as an artist, I want to say yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. Yeah. But who doesn't want to be president though?
Yeah.
Everybody want to be the president. Right, so yeah, that's always. But Ed does a tremendous job with that role, and it's a great cast, great set of people, man.
So how is it working with Tyler, man? How is it?
It's different, man. It's different. The thing that you lean into is you have to respect that this man has proven that his model, his process, his vision works.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. So, and it's not conventional.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if you go in recognizing and respecting that, hey, this man is proven. You know, he's a proven artist, right? And you say, then it becomes, how do I fit into the machine that already has proven itself? And so you let go of traditionally how things are done, and you say, this is how Tyler is doing it. And then how do I lend myself to that thing that he has running and give the best of myself in the equation?
Right. Okay,
Yeah.
great.
So you hear stories about, you know, shooting 100 pages a day, you know what I'm saying? Which is like, you know, the average actor will pass out just even hearing that.
Right.
You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, he gets it done.
Absolutely.
You know, he has a system, he has a crew, everybody's on the same page, and it gets done. I remember the first season of The Oval, after it was over, I was numb. I was like, did it just happen?
Crazy.
Like, did all that just happen in like 2 weeks? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Which
it's
normally,
a lot.
yeah, it's a lot, but it happens. You know?
Right. So who's that celebrity friend or friend, I should say, that keeps you in line? That calls you up and say, hey, man.
I mean, if you're talking about celebrity friends, unfortunately, it was Chadwick Boseman for me.
Oh,
you know what I
that.
mean? Yeah, it was. I mean, he was solid. You know that. You know, he was one of the.
So you knew him for a couple of years?
No, I knew Chadwick for way more than a couple of years.
Wow.
Chadwick, I've directed Chadwick. He's been in my plays. He's directed me. You know, like we've worked
together.
Yeah, I mean, we go way back. You know, I was there with him when he was auditioning for Jackie Robinson for 42. I was up 3 o'clock in the morning reading for him, reading Branch Rickey.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I was like, yo, Chad, it's 3 o'clock. He's like, no, let's do it again. I'm like, bro, I'm about to pass out. He's like, no, let's do it again. But that's who he was.
Amazing brother,
You know,
man.
that's who he was. And as far as being grounded and always reminding me to be in your purpose and to be bigger than the moment, like it was him. You know what I mean? He was one of the most profound individuals that I, have known.
Right.
So yeah, I would say.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
So you've done a lot: playwright, film, the Oval. So I'm gonna get a little personal, right? Because everybody want to know you smooth dude, right? Let's see your ring, whatever.
Yeah.
So you married?
26 years, just had an anniversary.
That's a long
December the
time,
20th.
man.
Yeah, just had an anniversary.
How you stay together so long like that?
I travel.
You gotta leave the house.
Yeah, you gotta leave the house, come back. You know, you stay in the house too long.
You just can't be gone too long.
Yeah, you can't be gone too long. You gotta come back. You gotta check in and out, man. You stay around too long, you be like, oh God, nah. But it's been great, man. Well, everything has its challenges. Nothing's without its challenges, because also traveling can cause some issues. You know what I mean?
So do you have a code word or a spot that you go away to when you be like, you're getting on my nerves, man?
Just the other room. just the other room, man. Because I travel too much to keep, to come home and go somewhere else.
Got it.
You know what I mean? So just to the next room. It's for me. This is interesting too, because in teaching, I just want to make this point.
Yeah, go ahead.
One of the things I teach is always be careful. Following your heart for love versus following your heart for your dream are two different things. They don't necessarily, one can trap the other, right? Meaning that you can fall in love with the wrong person.
If it don't align.
If it don't align, and that person that you fall in love with could be the biggest problem for you in trying to get to your dream, the love you have for your dream. So you have to be careful, because everybody, people don't want to be lonely. They want to feel like they're important, and they want to be in a relationship. And it's like, remind yourself where you're trying to go in life. And make sure that whoever you're choosing to tie yourself to, that they understand that that's where you're headed, and they can contribute to that or support that. Because you lock yourself into the wrong person, they can rob you of that and take you away from that, and you start to honor this relationship more than your vision and your life dream.
Right, because everybody don't understand this business. They don't understand that you got to go to a gala at 9 o'clock at night.
They don't understand that you got to have a conversation with the opposite sex. Why are you talking to her so much?
Yeah.
It's like, well,
we got to go over these lines.
we got to do the work. But, you got to be careful of those things. You know what I mean? You just got to be conscious and aware, because I've seen a lot of people get in these relationships and it tears down their ability to actually pursue what they really want for themselves.
Kind of smooth, man. You ever thought about being a pastor?
Hold on, man.
I know somebody asked you that before.
Listen,
I know.
listen,
Look at you. You start shaking.
I got trauma, man. You triggered me. I stopped playing pastor roles for a while because I was getting too many pastors, and people thought I was a pastor. When, they weren't talking about, hey, Richard. They were talking about, hey, I know you from my church. What church you pastor at? Like, I'm not a pastor.
You saw me on TV.
Yeah, and then my pastor's trying to make me a pastor. They call me Pastor Johnson and all this stuff. I'm like, so this whole thing about being a pastor.
Maybe it's your calling.
I'm inundated with this whole pastor thing. But in sitting with that, I said, wait a minute, why is everybody thinking I should be a pastor? Because I don't feel like, I don't know, maybe it's a thing with like Denzel, like later in life.
Right.
I might find myself going that direction.
Get ordained.
But right now, I said, you know what? In a lot of ways, I'm already a pastor. You know what I mean? Because I have a flock, I have congregation, and I'm preaching. There's leadership there. There's getting people connected with them true selves and getting them on the right path and getting to the light in them instead of them, getting them out of the darkness. Like I'm doing pastoral type things, but in this industry. So I say maybe that's where the essence of that is coming from, because I do feel like I operate in that way, just not in a church in a pulpit.
Right. So I want to talk about film a little bit, because I want to inspire the others, right? Mm-hmm. So what's the best move to make when you're making a deal or you're getting a contract? Is it good to get an advancement, or is it good to take a part of a little publishing or a little royalty over here so you can see your wealth down the line?
There's no direct answer to that because it's specific to each situation, each scenario. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you want to get the best possible scenario for yourself. A lot of times it can be difficult when you're coming into a situation you don't really have leverage.
Got it.
Right? Meaning you don't have a name, you don't have a history of being
successful.
Either you're
going to take this or
right? So
leave it.
Sometimes you really, you have to understand what position you're in, and you got to understand where you're trying to get to and make a decision on, I'm not going to get 80% or 80% of what I want in this deal, but by taking this deal, it's going to position me to get the 80% in the next deal.
Is it okay to ask for more, or do you consider it a disrespect?
No, this business,
and feel like you would lose the opportunity.
This business, at the end of the day, everything's about negotiation, right?
Right.
If you ask, if I'm here with you,
right,
and I say, hey, Ken, man, can I get some water? And you like, how dare you ask me for some water, man? I don't want to interview you.
Right.
Well, guess what that means? I never should be working with you anyway.
Exactly, because real business
ain't about that.
I tell people that all the time.
Real business is like, hey, you know what, man? I don't really have water for you. We ain't really playing for that. But you know what? You want some cup of ice?
Yeah.
Well,
compensate me with something.
I'll take the ice. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, that's what it's like. So when you start asking for stuff and people start getting offended or treating you like
then you need to walk away anyway. It's
probably
not
the people you want to work with anyway. Because a real business person is going to respect the negotiating process, and you get to a point where you both can agree and everybody's happy, at least for that moment in that situation. But the best position overall to be in is the position of ownership, and that's thing that's more kind of people kind of picking up on that more now.
Right, behind the scenes.
Ownership is everything if you can, get to that and maintain that. It's not always possible depending on where you are and what you're trying to do.
Right.
But the goal at the end of the day is having ownership.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, great. So man, it's been good talking to you, man. Let everybody know where they can find you at.
Okay, you can find me on all social media platforms at I am Javon Johnson. Website is the same, IamJavonJohnson.com.
What's the next big thing you got going on?
Well, man, my first feature film that I executive produced, direct, co-wrote, just hit #1 on Stars. So I'm happy about that, called Once in a Valentine. So
you didn't call me, Javon.
If you got Stars, come on out. Make sure y'all go check out Once in a Valentine.
Yeah, we'll be there.
And I got another feature that's in post right now, produced with my producing partner, Jesse Jalay. It's in post right now called The Stuttering Preacher. So be on the lookout for The Stuttering Preacher. It's a hilarious satirical comedy.
You use the stutter?
I am the stuttering preacher.
Did you really use the stutter?
I didn't use the stutter, no.
So I used to stutter.
Oh, really?
Real story.
Oh,
yeah. I couldn't even say my name.
Really?
Let me tell you
Ken, only 3 letters, man. You couldn't get Ken
My name
out?
is Ken One, man. They call me Ken.
You just K. Just go with K.
Look, the first day of school, man, never forget. So the teacher used to always ask us to stand up, tell our name, and tell what we did over the summer.
Right.
So I stand up and say, and all the kids used to be like, Ken One, man, your name Ken One. Couldn't even say my name, man. But guess what? Look at me now.
Hey, there you go, man.
So I grew out of that, man.
There you go.
I was bad, though.
Yeah.
I was real bad. Yeah.
Weren't we all? Well, a little bit of bad. But,
yeah, a little bit of bad.
But yeah, man. So I got The Stuttering Preacher coming out. So you guys will probably start seeing some stuff posted soon on that.
Yeah, man. Definitely going to support it, man.
Thank you.
But thanks for coming to my platform,
Yeah,
man. It was good having you, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Learned a lot. You're smooth, man. I'm going to be like you when I grow up.
I'm still growing up, boy.